You are listening to The Joyce Aldrich Show from Toronto, Canada. Paranormal and UFO edition. Yes, we call them UFOs.
Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. Might be Venus or some unknown light, hovering a bit too low tonight. Starlight and street lights and weather balloons, or something strange out of a five-star cartoon.
I love my dog as much as I love you. But you may fade, my dog will always come through. All he asks from me is the food to give him strength. All he ever needs is love, and that he knows he'll get. So I love my dog as much as I love you. But you may fade, my dog will always come through. All the pay I need comes shining through his eyes. I don't need no cold water to make me realize that I love my dog as much as I love you. But you may fade, my dog will always come through. Na 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 na. As much as I love you, but you may fade, my dog will always come through. I love my dog, baby, I love my dog. Na 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 na. I said I love my dog, baby, I love my dog, baby, I love my dog. Na 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 na.
And of course, that's the great Cat Stevens, and he was Cat Stevens when he recorded that. I love my dog. So, what on earth has dogs and cats to do with this episode of the Joyce Aldrich Show, Paranormal and UFO? We're going into the paranormal realm this evening, and tonight I have author, medium, paranormal investigator, and pet medium. Yeah, pet medium. We've got Rob Gutro here on the Joyce Aldrich Show. So happy to have you here, Rob. And you're sitting there with your two dogs, and I'm sitting here with my two cats. How wonderful is that?
We're in good company. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So, Rob, I just want to go into the medium part of this, of course, because you've written a lot of books. You're a prolific writer, and not just books on mediumship, but also they read like travel logs, I understand, So where does a medium go on vacation and why? I'm going to ask you that, and where are your favorite places? That should take up the whole show, actually, because you've written so much about the places you've been, and you've been to Ireland, you've been to England, you've been to haunted theater, You've written all kinds of great books, and just let's talk about the vacation. Since we're starting, it's summer coming up, and people are thinking, where am I going to go on vacation? Maybe they'd like to take a medium kind of vacation where you went and discover some of the things you've discovered.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I've written 3 series of books. One is Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation. The others are Ghosts and Spirits, the Earthbounds and the ones who've crossed over, and then the Pets in the Afterlife series.
Right.
But so the Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation series was not intentional.
Well, that's the paranormal for you.
Yeah, because I went on vacation. The first vacation I took after my abilities really um, came to the forefront was in England, and I went just expecting to see history and beautiful castles and so forth,
Mm.
and everywhere I went, there were dead people talking to me.
Oh, interesting. A different kind of tour guide.
Yeah, they they were actually there in one particular instance, Joyce, in Hever Castle in
Mm.
the United Kingdom.
Right.
Um, when I walked in there, there was a gentleman there, and he told me his name, and I didn't know I didn't know who that could be.
Mm.
And when I asked, I learned that it was Anne Boleyn's brother, George.
No kidding.
And because the Boleyn family lived in Hever Castle, so it was
Ah,
his boyhood home. And what was fascinating about that is that George actually gave us a guided tour of the castle and
oh,
told me what happened in various rooms. And when I came home, I was able to prove those things.
that's awesome. But what was George still doing in that castle? Why was he a ghost? And what makes
So,
what makes a ghost? I mean,
so he stayed behind because he was wrongly accused of um, having relations with his sister while she was married to King Henry VIII.
oh my.
So he just made that up, and then he executed George and he executed Anne Boleyn. So he was there. He was
Mm,
earthbound because he was trying to prove that he was innocent.
right. Yeah, so that was interesting. So Anne Boleyn's brother guided you around the castle. That's amazing.
It was very unexpected, and it was quite a treat, especially because I proved everything that he said to me when I got home from vacation.
Like just some
Like the year
examples.
he was most proud of his sister. He gave me a year, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. Um, but that was the year that she was bestowed her first royal title.
Ah, beautiful. That's amazing. So he's still hanging around there as a ghost, waiting to be vindicated. So,
Yes.
will he ever get to move on into spirit? I wonder. That's hundreds of years.
Yeah, it's been almost 500 years. I did tell him that that the world knew that he was innocent and that he
Mm,
could move on, but ultimately the choice is up to him. He
yeah.
did not want to go at that time.
Well, there you go. That's amazing. So, yeah, so I understand there is a difference between being a ghost and being a spirit. So, would you like to explain that to our audience?
Sure, that was actually the foundation of my very first book
Mm,
because I realized that they are similar yet different. Spirits are those who have crossed over into the light to the other side, or heaven, or paradise, whatever you want to call the other side.
hmm.
And they have an ability to come to us at any point in time, any place around the world, anywhere. And they can also come into our dreams. And
Sure.
conversely, what I've learned about ghosts is that they are stuck in the place they choose to inhabit after they pass.
Mm.
They cannot come into our dreams, but they can influence us to have bad dreams. Um, they emit negative energy and they absorb negative energy. So by that I mean bad emotions like fear, anxiety, depression, and anger.
So, do you think a
Uh,
lot of them are stuck?
they're stuck, and
Oh,
they're stuck because they chose to be stuck. Um, but sometimes they realize they can see as time passes around them. You know, if the structure that they're in
uh-huh.
has changed, and certainly the way people dress coming in.
Right.
Um, and sometimes when they realize that, they want help. So uh, as a paranormal investigator, one of the most common EVPs we pick up is "help me," and that's because they want to cross over.
That's very true because I've heard those. I've heard those. And there is a lot of that. Help me. yeah, kind of thing. So that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, I was what was I going to say about the ghosts? Yeah, it being stuck like that. Oh yeah, I remember. I don't know what I was saying. You know, a lot of people play Ouija, and it's not a game. It's a very dangerous game.
Yeah, it's
And
scary.
and I would think they're not attracting spirits, but perhaps ghosts, lower level entities. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Although they want to maybe use it to call a loved one, I don't think it's the right way.
No, I think you can buy those things at Toys R Us. That's not good.
You you can't. Yeah, interestingly enough, they were marketed for children
I
when they first
know.
came out, and
Yeah,
that's scary.
it is scary. It is scary. Hey, listen, I, my mother, may she rest in peace. Um, she passed away in 2015. But when we were kids, we didn't have a Ouija board. But my mother would cut out all the letters of the alphabet and numbers 0 to 10, and with a glass in the middle of the table, and we used that, and that was not good. That was just not good, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm telling you. No, she read cards and everything, you know, and she was a psychic consultant and everything as well. But it was not good. It was not good. It actually, I think it damaged our relationship, you know, because it because she would say sometimes she had pains in her chest and she felt possessed, you know. That's not good.
Oh, good.
No, no, no.
Mm, yeah, and so I've been on many paranormal investigations over the last 15 years, and in 5 instances, we could tell when somebody had used a Ouija board.
Really.
Yeah, there were just dark energy in a home, and often the people were physically sick in the home. Every single one of them.
Yeah. And it's not just physically, it's emotional, mental. There was a lot of turmoil in our home. And you know, I find, and please, I'm not really, I hope I'm not going off topic, but I don't think so. I find that a lot of people who are delving into the psychic realm, doing readings and everything, that, you know, a lot of their lives are really messed up.
Yes.
Because there's this thing, there's something that's not going right for them. They're not. They're delving. They're going somewhere they shouldn't. You know. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. You know?
Yeah. When they deal with that dark energy, I think it affects them mentally and physically, and if they don't protect themselves, that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, I did speak to a medium last week, and a tarot medium, and he was saying, you have to really surround yourself with love, you know, and there are ways to protect yourself that are, you know, that are very effective. But I think it depends on what the intent is of the reader or the person trying to contact the other side, you know, because and really it's not, you know, we talk about talking to the dead, but they're really not dead. That's the point. It's, you know, because
Right.
the soul lives on. Like, it's life after life is what it really is, you know. And oh, excuse my phone. It's right here. Sorry about that. But yeah, they are quite alive and well, you know, on the other
Yes,
side.
and pretty active too. If they know you're a medium, or if they know you're sensitive.
Sure. Well, both spirits and ghosts.
So I find spirits will usually come around at certain times of the year, like birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays,
Oh
because
yeah.
those are the times in life that we acknowledge them anyway, and they want to let
True.
us know that they're thinking of us.
Yeah. Well, when you encounter a ghost, how do you know they're there?
Oh gosh, there's a
No,
number of ways.
hey, no,
Uh,
no. But I'm asking. We'll get to the pets, but I want to talk about first, because it's, you know, it's just totally fascinating how each person is contacted or contacts. You know.
Sure. Usually I get a sense. Often I get a headache because they are energy with their personalities and their memories. And that energy really, I feel like it overloads my brain because we all, our thoughts are little electrical impulses.
Sure.
And I always get a headache whenever I'm in the presence of an earthbound ghost.
And spirits, different.
Spirits are usually different. They
Yeah.
don't give me the same kind of headache that ghosts do. Um, in I think it's because they're positive emotional energy too, because they're all about love and hope and faith and kindness.
Well, yeah, because they're not bound to the earth, and so they've already transcended into that other realm where, yeah, there is none of what we have on the planet Earth. All this strife and everything, and anything that they would have felt here, they now know differently. It's a different thing altogether.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh wow, it's just so fascinating, Rob. Seriously. So, on the cat, dog, bird, and horse spectrum,
Yes.
you have a no. It is, it's a very special thing because people are so connected to their animals, and of course they're our family. As soon as you get, you can't help them not being your family, and they're not really here with us that long on the planet. And when we
Yes.
lose a pet, it is so devastating. It's just so heartbreaking, and to know, a lot of people say, well, animals don't have souls. There's this whole
Oh
thing.
gosh.
No, that you've heard the verbiage.
Yeah.
You've heard they don't have a soul, so they really don't. Well, I'm thinking everything has an essence. It has a spirit. It has a soul. I mean, you go back into the animism, of ancient times. A rock, a flower, a piece of sand, everything has energy. A rock may move very slowly, but it still moves. It's a tree may be. Everything has something. So with animals, though, that is a special gift that you have, that you're able to contact pets after they've passed.
Yes. And the way it happened was that I lost a puppy
Oh.
who was tragically killed by a car in 2005. Um, when that happened, he reawakened the abilities that I discovered back when I was 13, but it was decades later.
Right.
And he reawakened everything. And I, as someone who used to write journals, I journaled every single thing that he gave me. From
Wow.
musical signs to visible signs to physical signs to moving objects to feeling cold, and so forth. So I wrote that down, and that became the basis of my first book.
Amazing. And so what happened? How do you, contacting spirit of an individual, of someone who's a person? Okay, I'm going to go back to this thing, because in some cultures with reincarnation, some people believe that they come back as an animal. Is that possible?
It's never been my experience that people will come back as an animal or vice versa. I kind of think
Just
that
just wondering, because the
Yeah.
cultural things are different people believe. I thought I'd throw that one at you.
Well, so I've been asked that question before, and I always tell people that if you look over to your office mate and they're licking their hand like they're a cat, then you know that something's going on there.
Yeah, they want a greenie.
Or if they tell you to turn around when they greet you,
That's right. They give you the tail.
right?
So, we're going somewhere. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's too hilarious. That is too hilarious. So,
Well, we're pet parents.
yeah, but it is fun. That's the thing. Life goes on, and that's the important thing. So, with the pets. So if people contact you to get in touch with their pets, what's the procedure? What do they need to do?
Well, what they need to do is they need to email me and reserve a spot and a calendar spot. But I'm actually not taking readings for about 6 more months because I'm booked out over a year from now. But what they normally do is they would email me, ask me for per spot, and then
Mhm.
I would ask them for their pet's name, a picture of their pet, uh, who lives in the household, and any questions they may have.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I do have to tell you that Joyce, that some people have sent me like 20 to 30 questions. And that takes me like probably 2 or 3 hours.
So,
So,
well, I know there are some mediums who will say, write all the questions down, but don't tell me. And then
oh,
the medium goes in and then answers those questions. Do you find that helpful? And maybe that may cut down on all the questions too, you know?
um, well, because I'm not psychic, I can't discern what they're looking for. I can only tell
Oh,
them
okay.
their pet, what their pet is telling me. So usually what happens is once I connect, I do kind of a multiple, probably a whole page of information that their pet shares with me, whether it's favorite favorite things or foods or places where they slept or habits they had or nicknames that they've heard, or it could be anything.
Amen.
So I share that first, and then I finally get to the questions, and usually I find that, wow, I've already answered most of the questions.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Um,
well, that's the thing because they will talk to you, and how do you hear them? If you're hearing a spirit of a human, how do they come through? How do they sound to you? It's just
um,
like the same thing as a person, or
so because our pets they hear us talk, they know language.
Mhm.
Um, certainly, they
Yeah.
can they can repeat words that they've heard telepathically.
Okay.
Um, they also get help from human spirits too.
Oh,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, so human spirits will help them out. Like for instance, human spirits will know that what year they passed. So they may drop a coin with the year of their passing or the year of their birth in front of us to let us know that they're there.
Seriously. So you physically seen this with a coin dropping?
Oh gosh, yeah. So yeah, so
No, this
when
is getting more and more interesting. This is wonderful. Yeah. So how did that happen?
so there's a so I befriended a spirit that I never met in life. And he uses coins primarily as his means of communicating.
Oh,
And when uh, so I asked him when our dog Sprite passed away if he would let me know if he met Sprite on the other side, and he's taking care of him.
yeah.
So the day after we said goodbye to Sprite, when I asked Ed, the spirit on the other side, we found one coin,
Yeah.
and it was dated 1996. That was the year Ed died.
Ah.
So Ed was acknowledging that yes, he is with Sprite, and Sprite is okay. He's done that for all four of our dogs who have passed.
Oh, that's truly beautiful. And do you keep all these little items as I don't know, as souvenirs, but as keepsakes
Um,
that are given to you by spirit to remind you?
well, we would have a massive jar filled to the brim with coins dated 1996, um, because he's been very active. Um,
Wow.
I, I, I always tell my husband there are three people in this relationship:
Yeah.
me, him, and Ed, because
Oh.
Ed is around all the time.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. No, well, okay, so yeah, so that is truly interesting, and you were at the I don't know if this has anything now also horses. I have always believed that horses are angels. I look at them and I think that's an angel. Am I crazy?
No, 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 no.
I think I think
They're
they're an amazing creature.
they are very beautiful and very smart, and
Hmm.
like dogs and cats, they also convey messages that they're around. Um, I did a lecture on how pets communicate from the other side, and after the lecture, a gentleman came up to me and he said his favorite horse had passed away,
Oh.
and he was devastated. And he had two other horses. So he said when later that week he was in the barn and he was feeding his two other horses and he heard the distinct whinny of his horse that had passed away.
Right.
It was outside the barn. And he said it was so loud, he had to stop what he was doing and go outside the barn to look. And of course, there was nobody there. But it was his horse from spirit.
Now, have you ever connected with a horse yourself?
I have a couple of times.
Yeah. How was
Yes.
that?
It was pretty amazing. One story in particular, and it's not often that people will ask me to connect with horses, but one story in particular really flabbergasted me because the horse was acknowledging that his mom had the horse's bridle hanging up in her home
His
as a
mom.
memorial. And she wrote me back and she said, "Oh my gosh, I do. Here's a picture of it."
Oh, and for the horse to call her his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so that connection between the horse and the person is so deep.
Well, yeah. So that's how that she apparently addressed herself every time
Oh,
she would see the horse.
how that's truly gorgeous. No, and you also were mentioning that there are birds as well. Have you been in touch with birds?
I have, yes.
By the way, back to the horses. I couldn't help thinking of the incredible Mr. Ed. Sorry.
Right.
A horse is a horse, of course, of course. I used to love Mr. Ed when I was a kid.
Yeah, I loved it too.
The
So
talking horse.
we're dating ourselves right there.
That's okay. It
But-
doesn't matter. I don't care. You can find them on YouTube, by the way, all those episodes.
so you've seen the reruns? No, I saw one of
Absolutely.
them.
I saw them. I saw them in live. Yeah, I know. I'm 68. I confess, but yeah, I confess. I saw the originals, but yeah, but birds. Tell me about the birds, and not
gosh,
Alfred
yeah.
Hitchcock's The Birds, but the birds.
Yeah, there were a couple
birds.
of a couple of interesting bird stories that one of them told me about that he would lead his pet parent to adopt another bird that is almost a lookalike. And when I did the reading, the pet parent wrote me back and said, "Oh my gosh, I actually did find a bird that looked almost exactly like my bird, and that's the one that I adopted."
Yeah, isn't that something? That is flabbergasting.
Yeah,
Because people don't birds are amazing. I love crows personally and ravens. I find them they're tool makers. They're intelligent. They communicate so beautifully. Birds are amazing. There's no such thing as a bird brain.
they are.
People say that, and it's so disparaging. It's not true. They're so smart, so beautiful.
They absolutely are. They like other animals. They take in a lot more information than we think they do. In one instance, I can share this with you. In one instance, I was doing a reading for a mom about her cat, and she wanted to know. She said, ultimately, she said, well, anything else the cat wants to share, and I said, the cat is telling me about Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor Swift.
And I know who Taylor Swift is, but I don't, I haven't.
Yeah. I understand.
I
Yeah.
couldn't name a song. So I said the cat was very adamant about she's saying Taylor Swift like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, what in the world? So I wrote that, and the mom wrote me back and said, "That's amazing because, first of all, my daughter looks like Taylor Swift."
Oh.
And she's been told many times. Secondly, when my daughter comes home, my daughter takes the cat in her bedroom, closes the door, and only plays Taylor Swift music.
Oh.
That's what she used to do all the time.
So the cat was bonded to her. Look at that.
Yes. So the cat had heard the name Taylor Swift enough to share it with me.
No, do dogs and cats, this is weird because I know dogs have a larger vocabulary. Like they can understand a lot, like about 1,000 words. That's my understanding anyway of
Yes.
whatever human talk, whatever language it is they're learning from humans. But with cats, they have a different way of communicating with us or perceiving what we say. I don't know how many words a cat understands. I really don't. I know yeah. Anyway, but when they come through to you from the other side, do they sound different? Like, do they approach differently? Is the language different? I don't know. It just
So it really it's all telepathic. So I can't hear the sound of their voice, if
no, but
you will.
no, not that part. But like how they even telepathically how they come to you. Is it cat like, dog like? I don't know.
Oh yeah, well,
This is
so
wondering.
they do. So it depends on the cat or the dog and their personalities.
Mm.
So sometimes I've had I've tried to connect with cats, and they were very wary of me, and they did not want to approach me, if you will, in spirit.
That's what I was thinking. Something like that. Where a dog would
So I
be
had to do,
loping
yeah,
towards
I
you.
had to do some sales. I had to do some marketing with them and convince them that I'm okay.
See? There you go. That's what I was wondering about because cats are a little standoffish, rather than with dogs. Oh, so you are focusing more on the pet medium side of things now, are you?
Well, actually, I enjoyed all three series of books.
Okay.
So I do, I do lectures too to animal rescues here in the US,
Do
and
you?
I do them as fundraisers. So I came up with this idea so that I can teach people how their pets communicate through a lecture, and
Right.
based on my books. And the rescue charges a small fee, and I don't ask for anything. So the rescue takes all the money and puts it to supporting the dogs and cats and rabbits and whatever they have in their shelter.
That's a phenomenal idea, and it gives such peace and closure to people who are hearing that, to know that that the cats, the dogs, the birds, the horses, whoever do have a soul. They are alive on the other side. They have a life, and that they are with them. That and I understand too that sometimes these animals are being taken care of by someone else on the other side who's a relative of that person, for instance.
Yes, and I can share with you an example of that too.
Okay.
A very personal example. In in October 2020, our dog Dolly was a Weimar. She's a Weimaraner.
Oh,
Um,
they're beautiful.
she was almost 16 years old, and up until the last 2 3 days of her life, she was walking around the neighborhood,
Mm.
and then suddenly one night, a disc in her back slipped, and she was instantly paralyzed in back.
Oh,
And we knew, at 16, at a Weimar as a Weimaraner,
yeah.
they don't live to be more than 12. Um, she told me that it was time. So uh,
Wow.
that night, I slept on the kitchen floor with her. She has her bed in the kitchen,
Yeah,
and because she was incontinent,
sure.
and so I slept on the floor with her and our little dachshund who is bonded to her,
Mm.
and we wait till she goes to sleep, and then I pick up our dachshund, bring him in the bedroom and with me, and he goes to bed in his bed.
Yeah.
But that night, I fell asleep, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, Dolly woke up,
Mm.
and Dolly kept staring at part of the kitchen, and I wasn't looking at what she was looking at. I just tried to get her to calm down and go back to sleep. Well, she wouldn't.
Mm.
And I finally looked, and there in the corner were my mom and dad in spirit.
Oh, coming
Our,
together.
our friend Ed, yeah, um, our friend Ed, and our three dogs who had passed.
Oh my gosh.
And I saw them for about 10 seconds, and then they nodded and they disappeared. And when Dolly passed, I sent a text message to my friend Ruth. She's known as the Beantown Medium in Boston.
Oh.
And I told her that Dolly passed. And she said, well, Rob, I want you to know she's okay, because she said, I, I see your mother and father were there and some other young man that I don't know.
Huh.
And there were 3 dogs.
Yeah.
So she confirmed everything that I saw and Dolly saw and our little dog Tyler saw in the kitchen that night at 3 o'clock before Dolly passed.
See, that
So,
is a beautiful, beautiful story, Rob, because you know when humans, people, are close to their death, they'll reach their arms out, they'll look into the corners, and they'll see people there, coming for them. And a lot of people don't really buy into that, but I sure do, and because it's true. It's absolutely true. And to hear that a dog is also connected that way is yeah, it brings a lot of peace, a lot of peace to my soul. Because and the hardest thing to ever do is to have to take your cat or dog to be euthanized.
yes.
Have you ever, and the look on their eyes, and they know, I had two Maine Coon cats in the last few years. I've got 2 more cats now, rescues, but they're new since last September. But a year before that, I'd lost my last cat, and it's so hard because you can't keep them around, when they're so sick, and it's a hard thing to do. Is there anything that people can do to communicate with their cat, dog, bird, horse, that when they have to do this before? Because it's awfully hard to communicate with them when they're alive, let alone when they've passed over. Unless they have someone like you to help them. What can people do?
So I can only communicate with pets who have passed.
Yes, of
And
course.
people who are animal communicators can communicate with pets who are alive.
Right.
But I will tell you that as a dog rescuer, I've been working rescue for 15 years.
Mm,
Um, when when a dog or cat starts to isolate themselves, when they stop eating, when they
yeah.
stop interacting with other pets, um, when they just want to be alone or they try to wander off, that's when that's a sign to you that they're ready to go.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
true. That's true. Do dogs do the same thing?
they do.
Hmm.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, our dog Franklin in May 2020, he was suffering also from spinal issues. He was 16 and a half.
Sure.
And when we used to bring him into our den to watch TV with us after dinner,
Yeah.
and that one night we did, he could only use his front paws, and he picked himself up out of his bed while we were sitting there, and he dragged himself into the kitchen because he did not want to be with us. And that
Mm,
was a sign that it was time for him to go.
right. Well, that is that it's good news and it's sad news at the same time. But they are part of our family. So, you have written. Well, you talked about the dog spirit signs, and right now, what about the coins and everything that drop, and that's amazing, and the messages from spirit cats. Yeah, I sometimes, I think I see my cat in my peripheral vision, like the shadow.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones
Yes.
that have passed, I think, oh, like after like not now when I have the 2 cats that I have here, but after they had passed, I felt I could catch them in my peripheral.
That's one of the ways that we will see them. And the reason we can't usually see them head on is because the configuration of our eyes is different from a pet's eyes, a living dog or cat.
Hmm.
They have a different configuration of cones and rods in their eyes, and
Yes, they
that
do.
enables them to see faster movement. Spirits move at a faster vibration. So dogs and cats can see visiting dogs and cats from spirit, while we cannot.
And
Um,
other things. What do you think of cats as familiars?
oh, sure. Absolutely. And anyone in spirit can be a familiar.
Anyone. But I'm thinking of cats who are alive who see things, like you say, because they see things that are faster. So they're when the cat stares at something for a long time, you think, what are you looking
Yes.
at? What are you looking at? And you're trying to look and you can't see anything.
So my advice to that is make note of the date. If it's a date of someone's birthday,
Oh,
someone's passing, someone's adoption, um, that would be that pet who is visiting.
oh, that's significant. Yeah. Wow. So yeah. So let's go on a little bit to the whole idea of mediumship in general, because we did talk a little bit about the fact you're not a psychic but you're a medium, and so
Yes.
the difference between the two.
So I've come to posit that psychics are people who have the talent to connect to energies of the past, present, and future.
Uh-huh.
They often use tarot cards as a vehicle in which to help tell the future. Um,
But not
Media,
always.
yeah, no, not all of them.
No.
That's just one tool, I
Yeah.
guess. But mediums can only talk to people or pets who pass.
Okay. Now that's it. Have you ever? What do you think of seances? Have you ever conducted those, or?
I don't conduct them, no, but I've I've taken part in one.
I'm just asking because I don't know if I'm necessary. I used to be part of them sometimes. I've gone to seances, but sometimes I think, maybe I just don't want to be there. I don't know how. I mean, they're supposedly they're safe if the person conducting it knows what they're doing, but I don't know. Yeah, this is me.
Yeah, it's a little. I don't know. It's different. It's a little uncomfortable, but I went
Yeah.
to actually. I went to an old bed and breakfast in Pennsylvania here in the U.S.
Mm.
and they did a table tipping. Have you ever heard of table tipping?
Well, I can just imagine what it looks like, but tell me, yeah.
Yeah, well, I had never seen it before nor heard of it, but they said they pool their emotional energies and they call on either an earthbound ghost that inhabits the place or people in spirit to tip the table different ways to give answers, yes or no.
Right, yeah.
Uh, so I didn't partake in it, but I sat on the couch watching this, and while I was doing that,
You
the,
were you looking under the table, were you?
well, yeah,
Just out
I'm
of
like,
curiosity.
how does that move? Um,
Yeah.
but while I was doing that, there were two different spirits connected to people who were there in sitting in that room
Huh.
came through to me and gave me messages for them.
Oh,
Had nothing to do with the table tipping, but I thought that was kind of crazy, and they were able to prove everything that I gave them. So
oh, that is so cool. Listen, I want to
yeah.
I want to go on to this is fascinating to me where you wrote a book about ghosts of the Birdcage Theater. What was that all
Hmm.
about? I'd like to hear that story.
Sure. So the Birdcage Theater is a famous theater that was built in Tombstone, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Tombstone, Arizona is a an old silver mining town. It was discovered in 1879 by a silver miner named Ed Shefflin, who, when he made his first silver strike in the area nearby, he called the silver strike Tombstone
Oh,
because
okay.
he was told by nearby soldiers at a fort that the only thing he'd find in the desert would be his tombstone. So when he struck silver and he became a
So that's how
millionaire,
the name came about. I often wondered about that tombstone. Who would name it Tombstone? Yeah, okay.
exactly. so, so it was kind of sarcastic. So so the town was built up around him, and everybody came in to mine silver. And the Birdcage Theater was one of the first places to go up, and it opened its doors in Christmas Day, I think 1881
Yeah.
or Christmas Eve, and it closed in 1889 when the silver mines flooded and everybody fled the town because there was no more income.
Was it
Um,
like one of those old saloon types or theaters, or was it a legitimate theater with actors, or was it a music hall, or?
It was all of those things, actually.
Okay,
So in the
traveling
front,
actors and whatever whoever would come into town. Yeah.
yeah. So in the front part, there was a big bar.
Mhm.
So it was a saloon. Um, in the back, there was the theater area where they would have stage performers, vaudeville, not vaudeville, but any kind of show performers,
Sure.
um, dancers, and so forth. And then there were two other businesses that went on in there 24 hours a day.
Huh.
One, they had rooms for ladies of the evening,
Yes.
which was a
Brothel.
yeah, it was a brothel,
Yeah.
and that was a legitimate um, career at that time.
Oh yeah.
And downstairs they have uh, uh, tables for gambling, and that was the site of the longest ever running poker game.
I was going to say card game. Yeah, poker game. How long did it run? Do you know?
I do have the answer to that. I have
Like
to look it up.
years?
It was like 8 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was something crazy. Um, but so all those things happened in the Birdcage Theater.
Yeah.
So those four things, and that leaves a lot of emotion. That's a lot of emotional imprint.
Yeah, it
in
does.
And as it turned out, there were 26 people that were murdered there, and you can go in there today and you can find over 140 bullet holes in the ceilings and the walls.
The Wild West, the wild, wild West. Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah. What was there was no law. I mean, it wasn't part of the United States of America yet, right?
Yeah, it was a territory. You're right.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Wyatt Earp showed up that he finally brought law and order
Yeah.
into Tombstone.
Yeah, he's going to clean up
by
this
the way,
here
answer your
town.
question,
Yeah. Ghosts.
Yeah, so I ran into 11 ghosts when I was there on a ghost tour.
Wow. And
And-
who were they? Were you told or?
Yes. So some of them were ladies of the evening. Others were gamblers. Others were drinkers. There's one actor. In my book, there's a photograph. I took a picture of, there's a massive painting. I think it's about 14 feet high. It's a big portrait of a woman named Fatima, who was a performer there. back in the
Those are
1880s.
very popular, those types of portraits in those places, the great big paintings above the bar or somewhere. Yeah, somewhere.
It was across from the bar.
Across- yeah, there. Yes.
And when the first time I went to Tombstone, it was 1994. My abilities had not manifested. I took a picture of the manager in front of that portrait,
Mhm.
and I sent it to him. And he wrote me. He actually called me rather when he got it. This was 1994, mind you. We didn't have internet.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look at that picture, because in the picture you have captured the face of the ghost, the male actor that I see cross the stage when I close up at night."
Wow, isn't that something?
So you can clearly see that in the book. So for the other ghosts I met, I also sketch out the ghosts that I encounter, because I can see them in my mind.
So sketch them out artistically or sketch them
Yes.
out figuratively, talk about them like this, they have brown hair and, they're wearing whatever.
Well, I do describe them, but no, I actually sketch them artistically.
Wow. Do you hear my
Yes.
cat? That's Rory. And
I think they're-
you sketch them artistically. That's great.
So when I was a kid, I have to confess, when I was a kid, I learned how to draw by reading comic books,
Oh, cool.
and I still read them. I love them. I love superheroes. So
Yeah.
I learned how to draw, and that came in handy on all paranormal investigations.
I bet.
So you can see what these ghosts look like that I encountered in the Birdcage Theater.
That is so neat. So what did they look like?
So, well, there were a couple that were, of course, cowboys. There was one that was a miner. There was one that was a lady of the evening.
Yeah, you
Um,
mentioned then the actor and the drinkers and the gamblers.
yes. So one of the interesting things, Joyce, is that when ghosts will often share their pain of death with me,
Oh, yeah.
and that happened quite a few times in the Birdcage Theater.
Well, sure, if you've got
Um,
a violent death, you could be stuck for a long time.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
So, and what I discovered is that when we die and we stay earthbound as a ghost, we maintain the same personalities that we had in life.
Mm.
We also maintain them for the most part as a spirit when we cross over, but we learn that if we're a bad person, we become a better person
We're
on the other side.
refined.
Yeah.
You're more refined. Yeah.
So when I went in the Birdcage Theater in 2019 with a friend of mine who had never been there and had never had a paranormal experience, didn't even believe in ghosts.
Mm.
He left after seeing two ghosts. She was a believer.
They're pretty active to be seen by the average eye or the eye. That's something. Yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty
Yeah.
powerful.
He took a photograph of a room that had a long mirror in it,
Okay.
and when he looked at the photograph, it was the face of an older man with a long beard
Sounds like a
who was like
prospector type, you know?
he was a miner.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
prospector. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the book you'll see that picture, and you'll see a photograph that I found online from the Historical Society of a typical miner.
So, just want to interject where they can get all your books. First of all, I want to tell them about your website, which is robgutro.com. So that's ROBGUTRO.com. You see my cat trying to interject here.
I heard.
He's a Maine Coon. Meow, meow.
Well,
Anyway,
that's
yeah.
because I'm in Maine.
Oh, are you in Maine? Oh, there you go. He's a big
Oh,
ginger. He's a big red cat. He's quite funny. But yeah, so that's robgutro.com. So and to get your books, they're on Amazon. They're in are they in the bookstores?
some bookstores may carry them, but for the most part, they're in Amazon.
Amazon's the best place to go for so many things. Yes.
Yep. Amazon CA, Amazon.com, Amazon UK,
Okay.
Japan, Europe, everywhere.
So look for Rob Gutro on Amazon and get the books. And yeah, so I just wanted to continue talking about this because I was going to say my mother was the singer MC at Ye Old Brunswick House here in Toronto. And that was built way back in the early 1800s, mid 1800s. And she said on the third floor there was a ghost. And there was a ghost on the third floor there who lived there. And I remember her telling me a story too when she went to Kingston, Ontario, to an old hotel, and they said, "Oh, be careful! There's a girl who walks around here," and my mother had in those days was the 1980s, so she had combs in her hair, and my mother would put her combs and stuff down, and they would go
Sure.
missing. And then she saw the girl, and the girl had taken her combs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, had taken her combs. Yeah, yeah. My mother didn't mind. She needs them. It's like, but yeah,
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
it was like an apportation kind of thing, And they did reappear. She also told me, but it was like an apportation. The girl took them for a while and then brought them back.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Have you ever heard of that? This is the strangest thing. My mother had all kinds of experiences like that, and my mother used to levitate. She levitated in front of me when I was 8 years old. She pushed.
What?
Oh, I know. Now it's getting strange on my side, but hey, let me share this story. We're in Ottawa, Ontario, and I'm 8. My brother is like 4, And she tells us to go and sit on the couch in the house we were living in, and she pushes the coffee table away. And she says, "Look what I can do." And she laid down on the floor, stretched her arms out in front of her like Superman, and raised off the floor about 4 inches. She,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
not kidding you. And my mom was, and we also had a lot of UFO, contact experience as well, because I'm a contactee. So and she used to have little orbs come and play with her in the room. So, yeah, and she used to read cards all the time. I grew up with this kind of thing, where because she'd tell me about the Romanians who went to Ireland and that we had some sort of gypsy blood or something like this, And of course, the Irish. Now, you said you have Irish background, you said, right?
I do.
Now, with the Irish, there is and with the Celtic thing, Irish, Scottish, but predominantly Irish have a specific, like seem to have tendrils, like mediumship, psychic tendrils. Is that?
Mhm.
Do you think? Now, how is that? Because I think there's something to it. Because the Irish go back. I mean, not just Irish, but they go back so far in that land. Because you were in Ireland. You saw ghosts in Ireland as well.
I did. Yeah, that's my Ghosts of Ireland on a Medium's Vacation book. Yes.
Yeah. And your travel log. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. So what did you see in Ireland, and what did you feel when you went to Ireland, being part Irish? Yeah.
Gosh, there was just there was a lot of residual energy there. Uh, and there were certain places that were haunted. Um, but some of I think probably the most disturbing place was the Cork City Jail in Cork.
Oh, yeah. How
You
old
know,
is that
jails are
place?
always
Yeah,
very
that'd be
haunted.
pretty old. That'd be pretty old. Yeah. So you felt a lot when you went in there.
Yeah, there were. I ran into 8 ghosts there, and I sketched a couple of them. Um, but yeah, it was a fascinating adventure. Ireland is really there's a lot of I don't know. It's almost magical.
Yeah.
When you're out there and you're looking at the beautiful landscapes. Um,
Yeah.
so the other thing there were so many things that happened in Ireland that I have in the book, but um, we also had a past life experience in Ireland, like I had in
Did you?
Tombstone.
Oh, okay. You had one in Tombstone as well. So maybe we were attracted to go to places where we've had past life. So you were
Yes,
in both Tombstone and in Ireland.
yes. Well, the past life experience for me happened in Tombstone. The past life experience for my husband happened in Ireland.
Oh, phenomenal.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so there's a lot of things going on in there, but I totally agree with you. If we are drawn to a certain place at a certain time, then chances are we likely live there.
Yeah.
And then
And also to people, soul groups that seem to, like all landed in the same ship somewhere, and we're just convening again, that kind of thing. Have you ever? Yeah, I'll have to ask. Have you? I'm not sticking to the script, Not that there's ever any script, but have you ever been in contact with beings who have passed over, who are not from the earth? Crazy question, I know.
yeah, I would call those what some people call demons or things like that.
Yeah.
Because
Do you think they
that's just
are?
well, some people because everybody needs to put a label on everything, and I I just think
Labels.
that as a scientist, I know that there are over 5,000 cataloged exoplanets, planets in other solar systems.
Well, thank you for saying that, because there are, and they're finding more and more. NASA's starting to find planets that could be Earth-like.
Yes, there are many in
Yeah,
what's called the Goldilocks zone, the
yeah.
habitable zone. So I'm a meteorologist. I'm a scientist myself.
Oh,
So
oh,
and
great. Yeah.
I work with astrophysicists all the time in my day job.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Jeez.
So I know pretty much. I know a good amount about exoplanets and different things like that, which comes in handy.
Yeah.
Um,
And it does affect our weather. We're not just one little blue planet isolated away from everything else. We have solar storms. We have all kinds of things happening out there. We're traveling through whatever belt, whatever. Everything affects it.
yeah. Yep.
So
Um,
keep going. You've got me. You got me here.
well, my point is about exoplanets is that we would be very short-sighted if we thought that we are the only life anywhere in the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we found water on other planets in our own solar system and
Sure.
moons in our own solar system.
Yeah.
Um, so my theory is that whatever these entities are that are not human
Uh-huh.
come to Earth in spirit, and they see us and they don't know what we are, and they may behave in a very aggressive manner because they don't know what we are, and they behave like a cornered animal, if you will. So they attack.
Oh, interesting. We're not exactly a peaceful lot here. I mean, we're
No,
it's like we're very feral. I think maybe amongst all the planets, we're the feral planet.
I agree with you.
You know,
100%.
so people
Yeah,
come. You meet a feral animal, like any feral animal. You stand back. You
right.
don't go close, or you try to trap it and study it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think and they behave like cornered animals, and they get frightened of us, and that's
Yeah,
why they may,
lash
you know,
out.
lash out. Right.
Not all, though. Not all. Some
No,
some have
no,
the
not at all.
gift of maybe they're the trappers. I'm going off now, but yeah, no, because I've had experiences with them, and they were fine with me. And the thing that I was told when I was 6 years old, they said, "You are a custodian of the planet," and I thought,
Oh,
yeah. And not like I'm the custodian, I am a custodian of the planet. So they're basically telling me, like, take care of what you got there, like, do the right thing. And yeah. And yeah, it affected my life completely. Yeah, and my mother's and
sure.
yeah, I think yeah, for me, yeah, it's a great responsibility in a lot of ways, because having any kind of gift like yours, being a medium, there is a responsibility with it that you need, like, ha, being a medium. Do you feel that you really need to be there for people in a different,
Yeah,
in the way that you're gifted?
I agree, and I think that we can all choose to use our abilities, or we can choose not to use them. Um,
That's true, but then we may just come back and have to be forced to use them again. So
right.
might as well just do it now. Why wait for spring? Do it now. Yeah, yeah, that kind of thing. You've got some places you're going to be. And now you tend to do a lot of lectures out in the on the eastern seaboard there of the United States of
I
America.
do.
Yeah,
Yes,
so you've got some lectures. You've got you got an online pet lecture this Saturday.
I do.
Yeah,
It's
June 22nd. So anyone can go there, right?
Well, it's a virtual one, and it's
Yeah.
it's through a grief group. So the information is on my website. So
Yeah, I see this under the events. So go to robgutro.com to the events and you'll see it there. Yeah.
yes, yep.
So people can go there. And is there a fee or is it free?
I think which one am I looking at?
Online lecture for pet loss group.
um,
Saturday, June 22nd. It looks interesting. 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. No, but
yeah,
this is good. I mean, if anyone wants to, if they want to listen to you there, Or you've got also a live event lecture in Massachusetts. So Massachusetts, we're in Massachusetts.
Oh, in the Boston
In
area.
the Boston area. Do you do a lot in the Boston area? And see, you've got also Rhode Island. You're going to be there August 10th. So yeah, people go on Rob Gutro's website, and you're going to find out where, if you're in the area, that you can definitely go and listen to you, and of course,
Yeah, you can meet me.
meet you. I'd love to meet you. Well, we've had quite a meeting tonight.
Yeah,
with the
I really enjoyed it.
Well, I think it's very interesting that the Zoom link disappeared twice for me. And then when we tried to connect, there was all that kerfuffle. We each had to reboot our systems. And even it wasn't even our systems that weren't working, because they're working fine. It was just some
Yeah.
weirdness that was happening. And you know what? I'm just thinking about that now. Perhaps it's spirit just saying, hey, we're here. We're here. You know? Maybe, did you sense maybe that could be something like that?
Well, I do have to tell you that I have I remember the spirit that I told you named Ed that is there for me and
Yeah.
my husband and our dogs.
Yes.
Well,
With your parents.
in the
you said-
last interview, I did a podcast with my friend Bob Heskey, and he can hear EVPs, so he picked out certain EVPs, and they were Ed talking and answering with one word answers when either one of us were saying something to confirm that he was there.
Well, I have a feeling he was confirming he was here, because that's all I can think of, because it was such a kerfuffle. I have never experienced that before. You know, this is a brand new Rodecaster Pro, and my computer is all zuzzed up. We're okay, you know, and yours was fine too, but it was readings were there, the meters were working, but lights were on, but nobody was home. You know, it's like,
Exactly.
I'm thinking, what the heck? And we tried everything, and then all of a sudden, everything was working, and here we are. Thank God. I should not curse this. I shouldn't jinx this at all.
Yeah. Oops.
Don't do that. But I think that I or maybe it was my mom was here too. You know, and she wants. You never know. She loved to be part of all this, I'm sure. But yeah, so these are things that people need to take notice of too, I think. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And I do have a couple of pieces of advice for people who lost pets
Okay.
that I think are really important before we go.
No,
And
that's fine.
that is, number one, our pets let us know when it's their time, and they don't want us to feel guilty when we help them cross over.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Instead, they always share appreciation because we have to ultimately learn the lesson that they're here to teach us, which is unconditional love, in order to find the strength to do that.
Interesting.
So that's the first thing. The other thing too is that they will lead you to another pet that they want you to adopt. And I have many stories in my books about those things. The easiest way for you to get in touch with your pet or person in spirit is to ask them to come into your dreams.
That yes, absolutely. And that's why sleep is so important. It's such an important place, because it's not just a place where you refuel, but it's a place where you reunite with loved ones.
Yes.
And you've got to be asleep. You got to be in a good sleep. No, it's true. You know, I do believe that, because then that's when you start going to REM and going to dreaming and.
Yes, and I will tell you, at my age, naps are really welcome.
I know. I'm getting to that. All of a sudden, I'll be knocked out at 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm thinking, why am I sleeping? You know, and you know, it's interesting about the cats choosing the cats. In my case, I stayed I can't even speak. I waited a whole year before I was ready to get cats, and I ended up with at the Alcona Rescue, you know, and 2 cats I ended up with. this big old ginger Maine Coon cat who had been a dump in the Alcona forest. And people thought he was a rabid fox because he's orange with a white tip on his tail. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and so they called animal control. And they came out and said the Alcona Rescue, and they captured him. And that was last May he was captured. And I got him in September. So he's still a little skittish, but he's still a Maui boy. He's lying over here on the chaise lounge. And then the other little one, I was only going to take one cat, but then I realized the other, he had bonded, he had a shelter mate. So I got Rory and Fiona's little polydactyl princess, I call her. She's my little Fiona, and she's beautiful. It's a little black and white cat, polydactyl. She looks like she's got little mitts on, you know. And they're so sweet, but they're scared. My other cats were very friendly, and these ones are very skittish. But they'll come around, you know. They just love me right now. But I want to thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Rob, for coming on the program. You are welcome here anytime. You know, you got something.
Oh gosh, thank you.
Anytime, come round any old time and make yourself at home, you know. And I'd love to have you. The royal we, or the spirits, everyone that's around. So again, go to robgutro.com and you'll be able to learn all about him, and eventually you will be able to set up appointments again after you're not so busy. After December of this year, did you say?
After October of this year. Yeah.
You'll be out of the woods. Maybe not, you know, but that's okay. That's okay, because you give a lot. You've imparted a lot of really important information, and you know, give a lot of hope to people who think that, you know, life ends as soon as you take your last breath, but really it's a beginning, and not just for ourselves, but for our beautiful pets.
That's absolutely right. Yep.
You know, that's right. So I'm gonna actually go out with a wonderful Al Stewart song called "Ghostly Horses of the Plains." Have you ever heard of it?
No, I know. I just heard Al Stewart's "Year of the Cat."
Well, I was
yesterday.
Yesterday, I was going
Yesterday.
I was going to play that, but it's 6 minutes and 37 seconds. I thought too long, so I looked for another Al Stewart song that I needed to play. I thought I have to play an Al Stewart today, and it's "Ghostly Horses of the Plains."
Perfect.
So so we're connected, my dear, in our Irish French ways. That's great. So thank you again, Rob, for joining me, and I'm going to go out with some Al Stewart here, and we will join you all again here on the Joyce Aldrich Show, and with more great guests, paranormal, UFO, and arts and entertainment as well. So thank you again for joining us. So here's Al Stewart, "Ghostly Horses of the Plains."
We open the door to see the coming of the trains across this land of plenty. We suddenly saw the ghostly horses of the plains, their saddles empty, struck to stone beneath the moon. These figures still remain. Steal your chances someday soon. You may not pass this way again.
You are listening to The Joyce Aldrich Show from Toronto, Canada. Paranormal and UFO edition. Yes, we call them UFOs.